Hi, my name is Maya Penn. I am a 14-year-old entrepreneur, eco-activist, philanthropist, and girls' rights activist. And I am so excited to be here. This is my second year coming to V-Day's 1 Billion Rising, and I think everyone here is just so awesome. Okay, so I guess I'm going to introduce the panel, and I know name, organization, and why you're rising.
I'm Bonita, Lacy. I'm the director of Healing Hearts of Families USA Ministries, and I'm representing Women on the Rise in Atlanta. I am rising for my sisters who are in the jails and prisons with domestic violence as a prerequisite to their incarceration. And for me, I wrote a letter to the law. I want my children. In my past, I was beaten into submission. I was a victim of a husband who wouldn't listen to his history, his violence, his temper, and he blamed it on me. But the law couldn't see all the times that he hit me, he hurt me, he beat me into submission. It was blind. I got strength. I made a choice to live and leave behind what he think that I was not worth. I was. In my choice, I was under the wings of a drug man. I made a choice of safety from abuse. I chose to live, and with that, I paid a price with 7 years of my life. So there you go, law. I have a past and a future for that choice, and I survived. And today I'm alive thanks to the sisters who kept my children, who lifted my spirits when I was down, who encouraged me to come around when I was at the edge of insanity from the belly of the criminal injustice system. That too was me, yet I still long to rise and be free from the constant beating of a word called conviction. Thanks to the sisters who now stand beside me and feel my pain when I sound out the fight for other women's rights to be home with their children. Blindfolded, the law can't see their pain, their disappointments, their shame, but I pray to God for them to listen when a sister comes before them. Listen to the pain and the violence of her past and give her grace. Give grace to the women and mothers trying to rise up, release, and dance and be free.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Helen Butler, Executive Director of the Coalition for the People's Agenda, an advocacy organization convened by Dr. Joseph Lowery. And I'm rising for women for a change in public policy because we have the power, ladies. We can't tolerate people like Todd Akins, who say that women's body can prevent pregnancy due to legitimate rape. Public policy, who says that women are the cause of rape. I'm here for rising for women, for public policy change, for justice with regards to domestic violence. I'm here for women who want to say to those corporate executives, enforce those sexual harassment laws. I'm here to say, ladies, that we're going to rise for change because we have the political power and the political will to make a difference. We're 51% of majority registered voters in Georgia, so we can be the difference. We can be the ones who can change those policymakers who make the decisions about our body, about our reproductive rights. We can be the ones who can make that change. We're here to say we're rising for justice in public policy. Let's do it, ladies. Let's exercise that right to vote.
Okay, my call to action is for women to rise up with Women on the Rise, Wednesday coming, 5:30, 250 Georgia Avenue. Women show up.
Good afternoon. Yeah, thank you. So my name is Becky Rafter, and I am the Director of Georgia Women's Action for New Directions, previously held by Ms. Bobby Paul, the one and the only. And so we're real excited to be rising around with this worldwide movement today because violence against all people and animals and the environment is absolutely unacceptable, and it is a pandemic. It's a pandemic, and the imperialism and that capitalism that they were talking about earlier, and the reason why we're rising for justice, that manifests itself every day in the lives of women disproportionately than it does to men, and it manifests itself right here in Georgia all the time. And so we're rising because women, especially around environmental justice, especially around these huge corporations and entities in Georgia that are having toxic emissions out of their facilities, are poisoning and killing women disproportionate to men right here in Georgia. We have the Savannah River site, which is a 310 square mile compound right across the river from Georgia, and it makes this thing called tritium. And tritium is a highly radioactive substance. It bonds with water, and so it's almost nearly impossible to get rid of. And once it's ingested into the human body, it causes cancer, it causes fetal anomalies, it causes death. It is very harmful to women, and we have a number of Georgia WAN members who are immediately impacted by this problem. And so not only is the environmental justice an issue because of the tritium, we also have the problem of this highly radioactive waste that is stored in these huge tanks. And there's 52 of these big old tanks, and 7 of them are sinking under the water table, and 4 are totally submerged under the water table. Now these are old tanks from the 70s. They're corroding. At one point they were leaking, and we need to figure out how to handle this radioactive waste and how to handle these huge levels of tritium. Now, tritium is that thing in nuclear bombs that makes the bomb, it gives it its yield. And so you would think that in an age of nuclear disarmament that we wouldn't make tritium anymore, but we do, because nuclear bombs are the only type of weapon that has to be refurbished all the time. So we still have to make the tritium. We don't have to make the tritium, but people in our violent war-based culture. So violence against women is not just acute, it's not just individual acts or in a house. It is systemic. It is part of our culture, and it manifests through corporate policies, through public policies, and the racism and the sexism and the greed and the need for profit and the internalized superiority. All this stuff manifests in the much larger scheme of how our culture operates. So one way that we can put an end to this is to support environmental justice, and our call to action, yeah! Our call to action is that we have a petition we're circulating. It's part of the Women's Earth and Climate Action Network. It's a declaration, women of the world calling for urgent action on climate change and sustainability solutions. We've got one up here for all of you all, each of you all. Courtney Hanson with Georgia WAN is passing around a clipboard. We just want you to sign on it. And then I'll be back later to talk about the amazing art project that's happening outside.
I'm having a moment. My name is Maria Azuri. Soy Maria Soledad Azuri, and I am originally an undocumented immigrant from Mendoza, Argentina, and I stand on the shoulders of all those undocumented women who sit in Lumpkin County, Georgia, Stewart Detention Center without any access to legal representation. I'm here to educate you. We are rising for justice, we are breaking the silence, and we are releasing their stories. And a story that is never told on the American English-based news is that on the privatization of detention, Stewart Detention Center in Lumpkin County is the largest detention center for profit in the United States. This is the largest civil rights issue of our time, and the fact that I get 2 seconds to talk about this in this amazing home of Martin Luther King and civil rights, people are not aware. In the Latino community, we are aware. I'm going to blow your minds by telling you that these people are housed in detention without any access to legal representation. They are not in criminal detention. They are in immigration limbo detention, kind of like Guantanamo Bay. You have not been charged. You're not released. You can't leave. We will let you know. So you stand by while your kids and your families and your communities deteriorate. These people have no access. These women have no access to legal representation. I want you to go to your communities. I want you to stand up for public policy that says no more, not on my watch. Women sit in detention, sexual exploitation, sexual abuses that are known and documented and silenced in government reports in your country, in our community, in the state of Georgia. State of Georgia right now, #1 in teen dating violence. We were #3 2 weeks ago. #1, sexual exploitation starts with teen dating violence. On education, systemic institutionalized barring from public education is a civil rights violation when a society systemically, lawfully bans formal education into an entire class of people. It is working and aiming to create an inferior race, which it will then continually and repeatedly victimize, scapegoat, and practice untold, hidden, and silenced human rights violations. There is no justice in that. We are in the home of human rights and civil justice. This is happening on our watch, on our soil, on our land. We go and bomb and spread capitalism and spread imperialism and spread weapons of mass destruction, and we spread it, we sanction it, and it's happening right here. Who are we to talk? We have so much work to do. Spread this amongst your white neighbors, your neighbors who are not informed, because in the Latina community, this is on the news at 5, 6, 11, 10 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. We know this is going on. We are disempowered. Our voice has been taken by the threat of detention with no legal representation. We sit in limbo. We may have all come on different ships, but we're in the same boat now. That's what Martin Luther King said. We must learn to live together as brothers and sisters or perish as fools. So today I want to ask you to rise. Rise. Stand up for these women who are sitting in detention with no voice, being sexually exploited, intimidated, bullied by men who are profiting by a country and a state of Georgia, state of Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana, who are profiting from their detention. They don't have sanitary napkins, they don't have bras, they don't have panties. Women like me in the undocumented Latina community, go and bring it to them. The white man makes a profit. The state makes a profit. What policies do we need to change? You guys need to be educated, because in the Latina community, we have no voice. It's been systemically and legally silenced. Stand up for the sisters, las hermanas, that are this moment detained for profit, have been sexually exploited, physically beaten, disempowered on the daily, whose education is legally withheld, and say no más silence, no más silencio. We rise for your justice, por la justicia.
Yes, peace and blessings, everybody. My name is Monica Simpson. I'm the executive director of Sister Song, based here in Atlanta, Georgia. Yay! We are the National Reproductive Justice Collective for Women of Color, and we are rising today specifically for one individual. This individual, just 9 days after giving birth to her baby girl, was assaulted by her then husband. This had been going on for quite a while. There's been documentation, restraining orders, and on this day in particular, this woman said that I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. And so she took it upon herself to protect herself from the violence that she had been enduring for many years from this individual. She shot a warning shot into the air to protect herself and her family and her 9-day-old breastfed child. She is now behind bars. Well, she was behind bars. Her name is Marissa Alexander. Today we stand and we rise for Marissa Alexander and the many other women and mothers who have been charged criminally for standing up for their right to be free of violence, Reproductive justice is about trying to eliminate reproductive oppression, which is a direct connection to violence against women. And so once we alleviate that by securing human rights, then women will have the right to have their children, to not have their children, to parent their children, and to free body autonomy from exploitation, coercion, and violence, and anything that just deters them from being the women that they are called to be. So today, that's what we stand for. And we have a call of action for you that's happening in July. Marissa Alexander's case was originally reset because they're trying to put her in jail for 20 years, you know. 20 years behind bars for protecting herself. Her trial has now been reset for July 28th. We are going down the weekend before to let them know that we are standing our ground as women, and we are standing against reproductive oppression. We are standing against violence against women. So join us as we march to Duval County Courthouse and say that we are standing in solidarity. We are standing for and with Marissa Alexander and the countless others whose voices were not heard and whose names that we don't know. Thank you so much, and we look forward to seeing you in July. So, I get to end on something really fun. So you all now get to become a choir. Are you ready to become a choir? That means I need to have your voices in the room. You only have to sing 2 lines. Can you do that with me? Your first line, when I hold up my number 1 finger, can you see that? I just want you to say, rise up. When I point to you and I have a number 1 up, you say what? Let's try it one more time. Now, when I point to you again and I hold up a number 2 finger, the only thing you say is rise. Let's try that. Let's try it again. Now, when you say rise, and when you say, I need you to say that with every piece of feeling that you have in your body, okay? So when I point to you and I hold up the finger, you're going to do it, and I want you to stand to your feet as you do this with me, all right? If you are able, stand physically or in spirit, whatever works for you, all right? So here we go. We ready? Are we ready? All right, here we go. We've got to and get ourselves together. We've got to and get ourselves together as a people. We've got so much to do. We've got to. Good job. Y'all put your hands together today for 1 billion rising.
So I just want to tell you that this panel was really supposed to be just Becky Rafter, and she's like, no, you've got to have Monica, and you've got to have Helen, and you've got to have Maria, and I agree that we had to have them. Do you agree? So I wanted to ask Maya here, our 14-year-old young woman, after seeing all this, what do you think, having heard all that, as a 14-year-old in the world that you live in?
Well, this cause is so important to me because it really affects everyone, whether they know it or not. And people, it's like I wrote about the societal elephant in the room, like nobody really wants to talk about it. And it's everywhere, and you don't have to look very far to find it. I mean, it's just like that girl you sit next to in class, or the person at the checkout counter, or, you know, the coworker you talk to every day when you go to work. They're everywhere, and they feel like they don't have a voice, and they're like they're going at it alone, and they're not, and we have to rise for them. We have to rise for the people and the girls and children all over the world who feel like they don't have a voice, and sometimes it's the most silent ones that have the most to say, so we need to give everybody a chance to rise.
We've got a lot of young women in this audience today, so yay to all the young women today.